Normally it'd be auto show season and we'd be able to show off in person some of the most exciting vehicles for the coming year.
But this year has been far from normal for reasons we don't really need to dwell on here. But we're still going to use this time to highlight the cars, trucks and SUVs that are either new, significantly updated, noteworthy, or we just kind of happen to like.
So without further ado, here's a collection of all the new and important 2021 and 2022 model year vehicles you'll be seeing at dealerships next year. If your favorite vehicle isn't on this list, head over to Edmunds.com to find it.
And of course, rant in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe and visit edmunds.com/sellmycar to get an easy, no strings attached, instant cash offer on the car, truck or SUV currently sitting on your driveway. No strings, Carlos.
Can't get strings through the internet. It's a series of tubes. Most Acura models carry into 2021 with only minor updates. The RDX, for example, is available as a limited edition and hand-built PMC edition, meaning it's assembled alongside the NSX at Acura's Performance Manufacturing Center in Ohio. What's new are the TLX sedan and MDX SUV. The TLX starts a new generation for 2021 where it competes with the likes of the Audi A4, BMW 3 Series, Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and let's say Tesla Model 3. The new TLX is longer and wider, and it looks pretty sleek too. The standard turbo 4-cylinder makes 272 horsepower, and you compare it with either front or all-wheel drive. The forthcoming Type S is all-wheel drive only and gets a turbo V6 with 355 horsepower. The base price is just under $40,000, and the Type S should start in the low $50,000 range when it goes on sale this spring. The new MDX arrives as a 2022 model. We had an early look at a prototype model that should closely resemble what you'll see at the dealer. The MDX remains a 3-row SUV, and Acura says the interior is larger. How much? Well, we don't quite know yet, but we can say from our early look that the interior revealed high-end materials such as open-pore wood, stainless steel speaker covers, and a bevy of available leather selections. While it uses the same V6 from the current model, it gains a new 10-speed automatic that should improve acceleration and fuel efficiency. Like most Acuras, it's available with front or all-wheel drive, and a sportier Type S model gets the same 355 horsepower turbo V6 as the TLX.
The Giulia sedan and Stelvio SUV were both updated for 2020 and roll on into 2021. Those changes brought welcome improvements to the infotainment systems and safety features. They're not the default choice, but both style and character in the best Alfa tradition.
The big addition for Aston Martin is the new DBX SUV. As you might expect from a brand like Aston Martin, the DBX is right up there in terms of size, performance, and price with other extreme high-end SUVs like the Bentley Bentayga and Lamborghini Urus. That means a turbo V8, this one sourced from Mercedes like many of the engines in Aston's lineup, with 542 horsepower and a claimed 0 to 60 time in the low 4-second range. Options and configuration choices are daunting, as is the amount and quality of materials in the cabin, which is exactly what you'd expect with a starting price hovering close to $200,000. Our own Cameron Rogers said the acceleration, handling, and interior earned the DBX its Aston Martin badge. You can read more at Edmunds.
There was a time when Audi seemed to be launching a new model every week, but it's been surprisingly quiet of late. Probably the biggest news concerns its smallest sedan. The new A3 should arrive for the 2022 model year to do battle with the Mercedes A-Class and BMW 2 Series. It'll be no surprise to learn that it mimics the style of the larger A4, A6 and A8 both inside and out. Expect a 2-litre turbo 4 at kickoff, with sporty S3 and RS3 versions to follow. Audi's also been talking up its e-tron electric range. We're fans of both the SUV and the more coupe-like Sportback. But the biggest news in 2021 might be the arrival of the production version of the GT sedan we drove in concept form last year. That should keep the Tesserati busy on Twitter.
If you've ever watched a 30-minute new car rundown on YouTube to get shopping advice on a $200,000 luxury SUV, go ahead and leave a comment down below. We'll call out the Bentley Bentayga because it's our top-rated super luxury SUV and it gets a few updates for 2021. The styling outside is a bit different, but the interior has been updated with a more modern 10.9-inch center touchscreen with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. If the older screen and design were holding you back, now is your chance to get a Bentayga.
New for 21 from BMW? That'd be the 4 Series, complete with one of the most controversial grilles ever to grace an automobile. We're all for a bit of distinctive design, but really? It's been compared to a walrus, which is a bit tough on our flippered friend, to be honest. If it's your thing, the 4 Series costs from $45,000 and shares oily bits with the 3 Series. Boasting up to 503 horsepower in competition trim, the M cars should be fast enough to justify a price tag of around $70,000. Nice to see the option of a manual gearbox too.
At the other end of the spectrum is the BMW iX, revealed recently as a interesting looking concept. At least what's underneath has appeal. BMW says the iX packs 2 electric motors, geared for 500 horsepower combined, with a range of around 300 miles. We expect to see the production version unveiled before the end of 2021.
We wouldn't fault anyone who couldn't remember the 2020 and previous Buick Envision, but that could change for the 2021 model. The redesigned Envision looks sharp in the photos we've seen, inside and out, with a large driver-oriented center touchscreen. It should line up against other small luxury SUVs like the Acura RDX and Lincoln Corsair. Outside of basic specs like the engine being a turbo 2-liter and the transmission being a 9-speed automatic, we don't have a lot of info yet, so check back in early 2021 for more.
Last year, I drove a prototype version of the Byton M-Byte EV and came away pretty impressed. But since then, it's all gone a bit pear-shaped, with the company's financial woes compounded by the pandemic. Who knows when or even if we'll see a production version, but we certainly hope so. It's a nice thing.
The big addition to Cadillac for 2021 is the redesigned Escalade. Like the new Tahoe, Suburban, and Yukon, it's more spacious, more capable, and better driving and riding thanks to modern and sophisticated suspension technology. It also packs impressive entertainment and driver assistance technology, from a massive array of OLED screens to so-called augmented reality navigation and an available night vision camera. And even Cadillac's hands-free driving technology, Super Cruise, is available too. Priced between roughly $78,000 and $105,000, the sharp-looking Escalade is a worthy large luxury SUV. As for the rest of the Cadillac lineup, the biggest change we're happy to see is the addition of wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay throughout the lineup. That hands-free Super Cruise is more widely available too, so be sure to check whether the model you're interested in has it. You can expect bigger changes from Cadillac in 2023 and beyond if the Lyriq concept car is any indication, but that's a topic for a different and, again, future video.
The big news for Chevy going into 2021 is the new Suburban and Tahoe. We've already driven both and came away impressed. In the next year, there'll be modest, mainly cosmetic updates to the Equinox and Traverse SUVs, and they'll be joined by a baby brother in the shape of the new Trailblazer. Taking on subcompact SUVs such as the Mazda CX-30 and Kia Soul, it should cost from under $20,000 and boast a decent array of safety kit. The mid-size Colorado gets some styling tweaks, while the Silverado gets a host of new features. There's a fancy tailgate like you get on a GMC Sierra, improved tow ratings, and niceties like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This will help the Chevy soldier on against the new Ford F-150 and the Ram 1500 before a desperately needed midlife facelift arrives in 2022.
In the world of minivans, the Toyota Sienna has been redesigned, the Honda Odyssey has been updated, but the Chrysler Pacifica hasn't been left out. The 2021 update for the Pacifica includes new exterior styling, wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, more standard driver aids like automatic emergency braking and adaptive cruise control, and all-wheel drive availability on everything but the hybrid model. Like many other new family-oriented vehicles, the Pacifica gains a camera on the second and third rows. Chrysler calls it the Fam Cam, and it lets parents keep an eye on the kids through the center screen. The 2021 Pacifica starts in the mid $30,000 range, and all-wheel drive adds another $3,000.
What's new for Dodge? Well, if you thought the Charger and Challenger would be getting more powerful, you'd be right. Not only do the supercharged Hellcat versions gain 10 horsepower to a total of 717 horsepower, the Challenger has a new Superstock variant that's intended for drag racing. The Superstock is actually a less potent version of the limited edition Demon Dragster. It has a wide body and similar wheels, Nitto drag radial tyres, brakes, suspension and engine tuning. It also gets some of the software features like a line lock and cooling system that diverts air conditioning to the engine. Alas, it doesn't make as much power, but it still has 807 horsepower, so, we could probably get by. The 2021 Durango gets some updates too. There are some subtle exterior changes, but inside is a redesigned dash that sports an available new 10.1-inch infotainment system, wireless Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay are new too. Oh, and one little addition. In the quest to add the supercharged 6.2-litre V8 to basically every vehicle there is, now there's one in the Durango called, appropriately, the Durango SRT Hellcat. So not only does this 3-row SUV have an 8,700-pound tow rating, it's also available with 710 horsepower. Sadly, the Hellcat version is only available for 1 year.
It's a terrific way to terrify the entire family.
Launch control with grandparents on board, not recommended.
Unless they're cool.
F is for Ferrari, who appear to have remembered how to build genuinely beautiful cars. To our eyes, the new Roma is the prettiest Ferrari since the 355 from the 90s. And the price of such style, $220,000, which in Ferrari terms makes it a bit of a bargain, really. That's over $50,000 less than the new F8 Tributo, essentially an update on the 488. The 3.9-litre V8 develops a mere 710 horsepower, delivering 0 to 60, says Ferrari, in under 3 seconds.
Earlier in 2020, Fiat introduced the next generation of the 500, or Cinquecento, if you're the kind of person who prefers España. And it's an EV, too. Fiat says it has a 42 kilowatt-hour battery, which by our estimates puts range at around or under 200 miles, and the 0 to 60 claim is 9 seconds. Remember, this is a city car, not a sports car. What Fiat hasn't said about the 500 is whether this new EV one will be coming to the USA.
Henrik Fisker did a great job of designing the BMW Z8 and Aston Martin Vantage, but he's found life tougher as the head of an eponymous car brand. The reborn Fisker should be debuting the Ocean next year, a small but pretty SUV promising a price tag of under $40,000 and a 300-mile range. Here's hoping they make it.
You may have heard about this new Ford SUV coming out called the Bronco. Maybe a little bit? Well, if you have been living underneath a rock, the 2021 marks the return of the Bronco name. This Jeep Wrangler competitor sports all kinds of fun specs and details, from off-road hardware like available 35-inch tires, a disconnecting sway bar, and a turn assist that brakes the inside rear wheel for a tighter turning radius when you're off-road. And then there's the rest of the cool stuff like easily removable doors and roof, not to mention a plethora of options and accessories. Boy, are we excited, so much in fact that we actually have one on pre-order to run in our long-term test fleet. But there are actually two Bronco models. The so-called Bronco Sport is an entirely different vehicle than the Bronco, so don't get the two confused. The Sport is a small or compact SUV. Think of it like the off-road sibling to the Ford Escape. Priced from the high $20,000 range, the Bronco Sport has two engine offerings, a 3 and a 4-cylinder engine. It has also up to 245 horsepower and all-wheel drive with a locking rear differential. Now, it surely won't be as capable as the Bronco, but it looks ready to give another option to someone looking at a Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk or something similar. The F-150 enters a new generation for 2021. There's a lot to cover, but the headlines are an available and hugely powerful hybrid powertrain, a large center touchscreen to keep pace with RAM, and an available feature called Pro Power on Board. It's essentially a generator or power station in your bed. Super nifty stuff. The F-150 will also offer a hands-free driving experience next year on select roads. We certainly look forward to evaluating that tech, as well as seeing how the F-150 stacks up against its rivals from Chevy and our current #1 truck, the Ram. Next year, we also expect to hear more about the all-electric F-150 Ford's been showing off recently, not to mention the next generation of the Raptor. As for the Mustang, our top-rated muscle car, there's a new trim level with an old name, the Mach 1. Like the Bullet, the Mach 1 uses a 480 horsepower version of the Mustang's 5-liter V8, but you can pair it with either a 6-speed manual or a 10-speed automatic. The other additions are suspension, cooling, and aerodynamic parts from the Shelby GT350 and GT500. Speaking of, 2020 marks the end of the GT350, a moment of silence. No, how about a moment of flat plane crank V8? Yeah, good stuff. There's also the new Mustang Mach-E, which shares absolutely nothing with the Mustang except for the name and hopefully the fun-to-drive factor. We'll know more about this SUV when we evaluate it, so look forward to that soon. The Mach-E is a promising electric hatchback/SUV that starts at around $40,000 and reaches up to about $65,000 depending on options. Within that spread is a range from 230 to over 300 miles. We're of course looking forward to the GT version, which offers around 460 horsepower and a claimed 0 to 60 time in 3.5 seconds. Like the F-150, the Mach-E will offer hands-free driving on select roads, and not to mention the functionality that comes with a hatchback with a front trunk. Watch this space for more, and soon.
Genesis has been on a model blitz of late. The G80 sedan and GV80 SUV have just gone on sale, and we've been impressed with both. The GV80 takes on the Mercedes GLE, delivering similar luxury for less money. The exterior might not be to everyone's taste, but the interior quality is terrific. The G70 and G90 sedans have both been recently updated to reflect Genesis's new design ethos. But the big news in 2021 will be the arrival of the GV70, a smaller sibling for the GV80. A competitor to the Mercedes GLC and Audi Q5, it takes its cues from its big brother and has a very funky looking cabin.
The Hummer is back, and not only is it an EV, it's also a GMC too. There's a lot to be excited about, like 1,000 horsepower, around 1,000 pound-feet of torque, and a max range of over 350 miles, a removable roof, hands-free driving, and acceleration mode that's literally called WTF, and on and on. So far, we've only seen a prototype, so expect more as we near production in late 2021. Also, ready your checkbooks as the first available model is going to cost around $112,000. The other big addition is the next generation Yukon, which is on sale now. Like the Tahoe, Suburban, and Cadillac, it's larger inside and out and rides on a more modern chassis, including an independent rear suspension. You also have air springs that can adjust the ride height and adaptive dampers. It's available with either a 5.3 or 6.2 liter V8 and a turbo diesel. Plus, the Yukon sports an off-road inspired AT4 trim and everyone's favorite, the Denali.
Big news from Honda, a new Civic is on its way, and we've had a sneak peek. There are minor trim and detail changes across Honda's range, but the only other significant update is the Ridgeline truck. The styling's been tweaked to make it look a bit more macho, but it remains the most car-like of all its rivals. It's a final rounder, we're just not sure about those rose gold wheels.
There are a lot of changes happening for Hyundai during the next year or so. Many models in the lineup are receiving a big visual update and upgraded interior technology. The Elantra sedan and Tucson SUV are two examples of this, both styled to make a statement, and we think they do it pretty well. Inside you'll find digital instrument clusters, available 10.3-inch center touchscreens, wireless charging, and wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity. The 2021 Elantra starts at $20,000 and lines up against the Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, and Kia Forte. For 2022, the Tucson figure about mid-20 grand, and it lines up against the CR-V, RAV4, Nissan Rogue, and so on. A similar treatment also happens with our top-rated extra small SUV, the 2022 Hyundai Kona, which somehow looks even bolder than before. The larger 2021 Santa Fe gets a similar treatment with new engines to choose from, including a turbo 2-liter and a hybrid. You can also expect a plug-in hybrid in the future too. It and the even larger 2021 Hyundai Palisade get a top-of-the-line calligraphy trim that dresses up the interiors with high-end options and materials like quilted leather. As far as performance goes, Hyundai's N Performance name will get applied to more vehicles. The Elantra N and Sonata N line have 300 horsepower. The Veloster N gets an optional dual-clutch transmission for faster acceleration, and its must-have performance package is now standard equipment, which was the right thing to do. Further out, expect to see even flashier new Hyundai EVs wearing the Ioniq name. Currently, the Ioniq is available as a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and EV, none of which have major changes in store for 2021, but Hyundai's also shown off a concept SUV, and we expect it around 2022. The only thing we can really say about it now is that it looks pretty killer, so hopefully the production vehicle does too when it goes on sale.
After a quiet period, Infiniti is stepping up in 2021 with two new models. The QX55 is another attempt to fuse SUV and coupe styling. Sharing oily bits with the QX50, it'll take on the BMW X4 and Mercedes GLC Coupe. Likely to debut later in 2021 is the new QX60, a 3-row luxury SUV. We expect it to look a lot like the Q60 monograph concept car, which is no bad thing. If this is the shape of things to come from Infiniti, then they might just be on for a resurgence.
Jaguar is rolling out a new, more robust entertainment system across most, if not all, of its models. The same system makes an appearance in new and updated Land Rovers as well, like the Defender. The 2021 F-Pace shows it off most prominently with a massive new 11.4-inch center touchscreen. We're certainly eager to see how it works. The F-Pace also gets an interior and exterior update, so keep an eye out for the updated model information and our take of it soon. The F-Type Coupe has likewise been refreshed. The engine choices have been simplified and also somewhat improved. The V6 and V8 are all-wheel drive only, and the entry-level 4-cylinder is rear-wheel drive. The top-end SVR is gone, but the V8-powered R model now equals it with 575 horsepower. That model also has tweaks to the suspension and electronics. Prices stretch from the low $60,000 range to just over 100 grand, making the F-Type an option to consider versus everything from the Corvette to the 911.
30 years after its demise, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer is back as a gargantuan rival to the Ford Expedition and Chevy Tahoe and Suburban. Jeep's promising a techno-fest with an army of touchscreens powered by Google Android. Even the front passenger gets their own screen. We're also expecting air suspension and a big range of engine options, including a plug-in hybrid. But the key question is this: will it have exterior wood paneling like its predecessor? No, sadly not. Later in the year, we also expect to see a new version of the age-old Grand Cherokee. Expect more space, a lot more tech, and more powertrain options, including a plug-in hybrid and maybe even a full EV. What else is new? There's a turbo diesel version of the Gladiator truck and a couple of new versions of the Wrangler. The 4xe is a plug-in hybrid with a range of up to 25 miles in EV mode, but the biggest noise, literally and metaphorically, will come from the Rubicon 392 V8.
The 2021 Kia K5 replaces the Optima as the mid-size sedan, so figure similar size and pricing as the Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, and Hyundai Sonata. In our rating, we preferred it to those three and dubbed it our top-rated mid-size sedan. The Kia K5 is incredibly easy to drive and comfortable on longer road trips thanks to a great suspension and an exceptionally quiet cabin. We really like the style, comfort, and tech the K5 delivers for the money. The 2021 Seltos is a new addition to Kia's small crossover SUV lineup. It's a little longer than the Kia Soul, but not as big or as expensive as the Sportage. It's stylish, and in our rating, we liked its roominess and available technology and safety features. It's rather quick too, as long as you get the optional turbocharged engine. Like other small SUVs like the Mazda CX-30, Honda HR-V, and Hyundai Kona, expect pricing to start in the low $20,000 range. The 2020 Kia Sorento is our top-rated small three-row SUV, and the redesigned version looks to continue that strength for 2021. The 2021 Sorento has a longer wheelbase that should make for more interior room, and the engine lineup has also been replaced with 4 choices, including a Turbo 4, a hybrid, and a plug-in hybrid. The interior looks to sport all the modern conveniences you'd expect these days, including an available large digital gauge cluster and 10.3-inch center touchscreen. The Sorento also continues Kia's trend of making sharp-looking machines, a nice touch. Look for our take on it soon. As for the Kia Stinger, you can expect a refresh around 2022. That brings updated exterior styling, a new, more powerful turbo 4-cylinder engine, and an optional 10.3-inch entertainment system. Not much has changed for the Kia Telluride, and it remains our top-rated midsize 3-row SUV. There's a new Nightfall trim level that replaces the silver chrome trim accents with black, and a 7-pin trailer harness replaces the 4-pin connector on previous models.
The first all-new Defender since, 1947 is really good. We took it into the desert with a Toyota 4Runner and Jeep Wrangler and came away really impressed. In 2021, the 4-door 110 will be joined by the 2-door 90, which swaps trunk space for cool. Bronco versus Defender off-road will be one of the tests of 2021. Not to be outshone by the new Defender, the Discovery range has had an update. The diminutive Discovery Sport boasts updated styling that makes it look a bit less toy-like, and there are upgrades to the cabin quality too. As we film, Land Rover's also just revealed an update to the Big Daddy Disco. The exterior tweaks are subtle and focused on the nose. That Marmite asymmetrical rear end remains. Inside though, the changes are more significant. There's a heavily updated cockpit with a much needed upgrade to the infotainment system. Land Rover claims the comfort of the second row of seats has been improved, and there's a new base engine with an inline 6 replacing the old V6. The diesel engine has been ditched. Sometimes overlooked, the Discovery is still a great luxury choice for families.
The 2021 Lexus IS has a few key updates, including the styling of the exterior and the interior. The engine options remain for turbo 4-cylinder and a V6, but the V6 IS 350 is now only available as the F-Sport, which comes with fun-to-drive hardware like a limited slip differential and an upgraded exhaust. There's also been some suspension and hardware improvements, changes, and the optional 10.3-inch display now has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The price range remains from about $40,000 to $45,000. The attractive LC Coupe is now available as a convertible for 2021. Lexus says its revised suspension provides sharper handling, and a retuned transmission likewise feels sportier. I bet more people will appreciate that Android Auto is now supported and it enjoys Apple CarPlay. Expect to pay close to $100,000. It might be worth it for the V8 sound alone.
So far, there are no big plans for the Lincoln Aviator and Nautilus in 2021. The same goes for the Navigator, but we'll still call it out here because it's still a bold and stylish large luxury SUV with a powerful turbo V6. It faces a new challenge from the redesigned Cadillac Escalade, so be sure to check out both. The biggest addition is to the Corsair, which gains a Grand Touring plug-in hybrid. It combines a 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors to create an estimated total output of 266 horsepower. And with 1 motor dedicated to driving the rear wheels, the Corsair Grand Touring will have on-demand electric all-wheel drive. Fuel economy figures haven't been announced, but expect 25 miles of EV range and it's good to know that the battery doesn't compromise interior space. The regular Corsair starts in the high $30,000 range, but expect closer to $50,000 for the hybrid, which lines up with SUVs like the Audi Q5, BMW X3 and Mercedes-Benz GLC.
The Lucid Air sedan continues to impress with its styling and claimed figures, including 1,000 horsepower, a sub-10-second quarter-mile time, and a range of over 500 miles, which might be what you should expect for a price north of $160,000 per Lucid. An entry level offers 480 horsepower with a 400-mile range for just under 80 grand before you factor in federal tax credits and incentives. Expect to hear more and see more about this EV hopefully in the middle of 2021.
Maserati heads into 2021 with detailed improvements to its existing range, but the most exciting news should be the arrival of the MC20 supercar. A carbon fiber chassis and a 200-mile-an-hour top speed are joined by a $200,000 price tag, but by God, it's pretty. If this really is a pointer of things to come from Maserati, then they might just be on for an Italian renaissance.
Mazda is rolling out an updated entertainment system across a few models like the CX-5 and CX-9 SUV. This 10.3-inch screen should be easier to see and use than what we've experienced with the current, or I should say previous models. The turbo 2.5-liter four-cylinder continues to pop up in more models as well. You'll find it available in the CX-30, our top-rated extra small SUV, and the Mazda 3, standard with all-wheel drive. This engine makes up to 250 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque, assuming you have access to 93-octane fuel. We've greatly enjoyed this engine every time we've driven it, so there's a lot to look forward to here.
Mercedes' onslaught of new models continues into 2021. The E-Class has just had an update with the introduction of Merc's superb M-Bucks infotainment system, tweaked styling and even a new steering wheel. Then there's the S-Class. It might not look like a radical departure on the outside, but the cabin is a veritable techno-fest with huge, curvaceous touchscreens. The outgoing version was still our top-rated luxury sedan, so we have high hopes for the new model. It remains the default choice for chauffeurs the world over. It's a year of consolidation for Mercedes' SUV lineup, but we will see an AMG version of our top-rated extra-small luxury SUV, the GLB. And if you're desperate to part with a pile of cash, how about the new Maybach, based on the GLS? A mere $160,000 buys a garish grille and no end of pampering. What we haven't seen much of lately is Merc's new lineup of EVs. The EQC is still not on sale in the US, but we might get a peek at the production version of the EQS luxury sedan before the year's out. Effectively an electric version of the S-Class, it'll take on the Tesla Model S and Porsche Taycan.
Outside of the extremely limited edition John Cooper Works GP model, only of which 3,000 were made, most Mini models continue into 2021 without major changes. The manual transmission option returns for the Cooper and Cooper S, so rejoice if you're a manual fan who also wants to buy a Mini. Yay!
Nissan is on a product offensive right now with some pretty solid results. The new Rogue is a huge leap forwards from the old one and currently sits third in our rankings of small SUVs. Stylish, comfortable and packed with tech, it's well worth a look even if the driving experience disappoints. We've also already had a sneak peek at the stylish Ariya EV and the next generation Nissan Z Coupe. What else? Nissan's antiquated truck lineup will be given a boost with a much needed redesign for the Frontier. Let's face it, it needs it.
We finally got behind the wheel of the Polestar 2 this year, and we found it to be a worthy rival to the Tesla Model 3 in terms of the driving experience. We like how it pairs funky styling with 400 horsepower, not to mention the Android-based 11-inch center touchscreen that gives you some of the best parts of the Google functionality experience. On the downside, at around $60,000, the Polestar 2 is a bit pricey, even factoring in available tax credits, and the interior space and energy efficiency are a bit lackluster too. But overall, we're eager to see more from this brand.
After the launch of the Taycan EV and new 911, 2021 will be a year of consolidation for Porsche. The 911 range will continue to expand with the much-anticipated launch of the motorsport-inspired GT3, complete with a massive rear wing. We might also see a hybrid version of the 911, which is rumoured to be the most powerful 911 ever. The four-door Panamera was given a refresh for the 2021 model year, which included the introduction of an even more rapid hybrid model. In some ways, it's the forgotten Porsche, but if you're an executive in a hurry, it's well worth a look. The Taycan EV has been selling strongly, and we're big fans of the 4S in particular. Next year, we'll be joined by the Cross Turismo version. Delayed by the pandemic, it promises more ground clearance than the sedan and greater practicality, thanks to an extended roofline and hatchback rear end. Think of it as a cross between a sedan, a wagon and an SUV, which works for us.
The big news for Ram in 2021 is, of course, the TRX. Yes, it's a Hellcat Ram, and an off-road focused one at that. Its supercharged 6.2-liter V8 packs 702 horsepower, and Ram says this full-size truck is good for a 12.9-second quarter-mile pass. On top of that, you get adaptive Bilstein shocks, more than 13 inches of wheel travel, and ultimately bragging rights among off-road trucks. You can watch our review of this truck on this channel. Now, the rest of the Ram lineup gets some changes too, including an available head-up display, digital rear-view mirror, and additions to the towing packages, like a system that makes it easier to reverse with a trailer.
Of all the EV startup brands, Rivian appears to be in the best shape, both in terms of its finances and its products. The R1T truck and R1S SUV are both in development, and we expect to see the truck first, hopefully by the end of 2021. Priced from $70,000, it promises 4 electric motors, a range of up to 400 miles, and a rapid performance. Be in no doubt, EV trucks are coming, and they're coming fast, Carlos.
You might say Rivian is keeping current with all the EV trucks like Ford and GMC, and if you believe them, Tesla too.
Maybe Tesla, but we'll have to find out when it's time for tea.
And crumpets. The second generation of the Subaru BRZ goes on sale as a 2022 model, and if you were holding your breath for a turbocharged engine, it's probably time to open your blow-off valve. The new BRZ is slightly larger, heavier, and more powerful, now with 228 horsepower, but there's no turbocharger to be found. Importantly though, it looks to still feature some of the same key attributes that made the original BRZ so appealing, from a rear drive layout, manual transmission, and affordable pricing. This BRZ should also underpin the upcoming redesigned Toyota 86. Well, the Crosstrek has a new available 2.5-liter engine. While it only packs 182 horsepower, it gives the Crosstrek some much needed grunt over the standard 2-liter engine. As for the rest, Subaru's been rolling out things like headlights that adjust with the steering wheel to most models.
With Tesla, everything's always changing. Pricing, range, and features are in constant flux, and they fired their press office. So the only real way to keep up with developments is to visit Tesla's website or to follow Elon Musk on Twitter, which can be a mixed blessing. The most recent news, at least at the time of this filming, is that most Model 3, Model Y, Model S and Model X trim levels all have slightly bigger advertised range figures, and the Model S has had a price cut to under $70,000. The best-selling Model 3 also has a subtle update inside, including, drumroll please, the introduction of wireless phone charging. What's coming up? The Model S range is expanded with the launch of the Plaid, which, says Tesla, is beyond ludicrous. They're not wrong.
They've gone to plaid!
$140,000 buys 1,100 horsepower from 3 motors, and Tesla is claiming a 200-mile-an-hour top speed, 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, and a range of around 520 miles. Bonkers. As far as we can tell, the Cybertruck is also slated for launch in late 2021 with a price somewhere between $40,000 and $80,000 depending on which motor setup you choose. We have one on order, so watch this space for more. And then there's a roadster supercar that's still set for a 200 mph plus top speed. It's been promised for a long time, but will it finally arrive in 2021? Who knows?
The current Toyota 4Runner is as old as the day is long, and it appears to stay that way through 2021 at a minimum. There are some minor updates and changes like standard LED headlights and a limited Trail Edition trim level. The really only reason we're mentioning it here is because it gives us another excuse to say Ford Bronco. Yeah, we're really looking forward to that thing. All-wheel drive is now available on the Toyota Avalon, making a better option for those who live in snowy climates. Android Auto and USB-C connectivity also make an appearance on the Avalon too. While grandparents likely won't care, the kids or grandkids who are likely watching this now on dying phones just might. What about the venerable Camry? There are just minor trim level and option changes. The ones you'll notice are the updated dash that includes new 7 or 9-inch center touchscreens that look more like tablets that are just attached to the dash. Toyota's suite of advanced safety features have been updated too. For example, the available adaptive cruise now works all the way down to a stop and can follow at low speeds, making rush hour more bearable whenever we get back to it. The GR Supra gained a less expensive version powered by a turbo 4-cylinder, while the turbo 6-cylinder grew more powerful. There were a host of other hardware tweaks and revisions. Watch and read our full reviews for more. What's next? Toyota said that it plans continual updates for the Supra, so we're eager to see what's in store next. The Mirai receives a massive makeover for next year. It really is like a before and after from some kind of plastic surgery reality show. The new Mirai remains hydrogen powered, but it offers significantly more range, around 400 miles. Better than that, just look at it. It's so much sleeker and more appealing looking sedan versus the previous version. While there's much debate about the future of hydrogen as a viable fuel source, we can also agree that the 2021 Mirai is a step in the right direction. Stay tuned for more information on pricing and availability. As for the RAV4, it gains a plug-in hybrid model called the Prime that boasts 42 miles of EV range and 302 horsepower. During our evaluation, we loved that power, both for the resulting acceleration and for the smoothness. While we wished its steering and brakes offered the same pleasures, the RAV4 Prime nonetheless makes for a compelling plug-in hybrid. The Sienna is new for 2021, packing a 245 horsepower hybrid system. The combo of electric motors should make for agreeable thrust at low city speeds and excellent fuel economy. Toyota estimates 36 mpg combined. As for the inside, there are larger storage areas, and the second row captain's chairs can slide forward and back roughly 2 feet for more legroom. We expect pricing to sit between $30,000 at the low range and near $50,000 at the higher range. If you want to know more, watch our comparison between the Sienna and the Honda Odyssey. There's nothing significant announced for the 2021 Tacoma or Tundra outside of some either limited edition or appearance-only trim level changes. So if you're shopping, the 2020 Tacoma will suit you just fine. The same goes for the Tundra. The Venza returns for 2021, lining up with the likes of the Chevrolet Blazer, Honda Passport, and Subaru Outback. The Venza's trick is that it's a 219 horsepower hybrid and uses one of its electric motors to power the rear wheels, making it all-wheel drive. We like the stylish interior and exterior design and overall upmarket feel, but the Venza doesn't offer as much passenger and cargo space as segment leaders, so it's a safe buy if you don't need the max space but want something pleasant and has a good quality feeling. Lastly, the Corolla and Prius get Android Auto for 2021, and that's a big deal if you're a Google fan like I once was.
Volkswagen is debuting its first ground-up electric car, the ID.4. We've had a drive of a pre-production version, and this compact SUV looks set to provide stiff competition for the Tesla Model 3. Starting at under $40,000 and with super competitive lease rates, it's to be launched with a single motor and rear-wheel drive, but 2-motor all-wheel drive versions will follow. It's the first of a series of EVs from Volkswagen under the ID sub-brand. VW hasn't forgotten its gas-powered range either. The new Taos will arrive by summer 2021 and take on the Mazda CX-30 and Jeep Renegade in the subcompact SUV class. We've already driven it, and we're impressed with its tech and sophistication, especially when you consider it costs from under $22,000. Later in the year, we'll also see an updated Tiguan, so unless you're in a hurry or spot a great deal, we'd pause before buying the 2021 version of this Honda CR-V rival. Want a car rather than an SUV? The pseudo-luxury Arteon sedan gets minor updates inside and out. But the bigger news is the arrival of the new 8th generation Golf in GTI and R trim. The GTI should arrive first next fall, but Volkswagen isn't planning to import the non-sporting Golfs. Shame.
Across the Volvo lineup are new standard tech and safety features like blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and USB-C charging ports. The vehicles with 90 in the name, like the S90 and XC90, have minor exterior changes, but you have to look closely to see them. The newest addition to the lineup is the XC40 Recharge, which is an all-electric version of the XC40. It has 402 horsepower and a range above 200 miles. Much like the Polestar 2, the infotainment system is all Android-based, so you get access to Google Maps and Google Assistant without needing to use an Android phone. Expect to pay around $50,000.
And that brings us to the end of our truly epic A to Z, because frankly there is no Z apart from the Nissan, and that's technically an N.
And
anyway.
a potential Corvette supercar variant.
All of that is true, but if you have made it this far, thank you. It's been an epic to produce, to present, and no doubt to watch too. So please leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
I also need to get a glass of water. That was a lot of cars.
Anyway, enjoy the holiday season, or I hope you enjoyed it if you're watching it later. And goodbye 2020, you won't be forgotten.
Get out of here, 2020. You've been the worst.